Well, hello. Hi, folks. If you watch this later, then thanks for tuning in for a replay. Just going to let people jump on board. Running a few minutes late, but, I'm a dancer and a musician, so it's required. If you hear squeaking, it's the puppy. The puppy is squeaking a little mini green tennis ball. Hello. Someone just jumped in. You're the first. Welcome, welcome. I'm just biding time a little bit for people to come on in. I might reduce the intensity of that light. Give me 1 second. Okay, a little better. Got one of these really cool ring lights that's for broadcasting. So you can probably see it in my eyeballs. See that bright light? I don't even know if you can make a ring the shape of the light out or not. I've seen it on other people's broadcasts. You can see the white ring. But it's gonna give it a minute. If you're watching, you want to say hi in the chat box, please do. I like knowing who's here. It's very nice. And this is meant to be interactive. So by all means, if you're watching this live and you would like to contribute food for thought topics, comments on topics, anything we're talking about, or suggestions for things to talk about, then please feel free. I know sometimes people have had a hard time with their apps. So if you're watching and you can't comment, I understand. Or if you don't want to comment, that's okay too. But are you on?
No.
Okay, good. I have Sarah in the background, so if Sarah has any thoughts or comments, she's welcome to come on camera or just talk from the room.
My thought right now is Lisa and her squeaky ball.
Yeah, it's okay. Lisa's comments are all squeaks. She's feeling very mousy. She's speaking up for mouse kind with her squeaky ball. I don't know if she's going to come over and get on camera tonight, but she has before. So, well, I'm assuming the person that's in the room doesn't feel like chatting or isn't able to. Some people have found a way to do that by going to the YouTube channel instead of the link I provided. Sometimes it gets around the chat issues. If you go to my YouTube channel, if anyone watching this now or later will like the channel, not the video being broadcast right now, but the channel, that would be fabulous. Build the following would be great. So, regarding Sunday, holly freaking Luya, the evil orange Cheeto, the Cheeto in chief, the baboon at the helm is going away. He doesn't think he's going away. He probably knows he's going away. He's trying not to go away, but he's going away. He's going away big time. In fact, he may be going away for a while, as they say, because no matter what he or Pence does, if he vacates and leaves Pence in charge, no one can pardon Trump or anyone from state charges. So for the first time in my lifetime, I might actually see a Democratic administration go after the criminals of a Republican administration, which would be fucking great. And while they're doing that, maybe they can go after the W administration, because all those criminals have completely not been held accountable. And they're walking free. Even though there's some of them are wanted in other countries for war crimes, there's nothing done in the US. Well, hi. Okay, so Lisa has appeared. Hello, baby. Can I have that? Can I have that? This is the orange. This is the orange, the yellow squeak toy. That's what she's doing. She's biting it. Lisa Moon, the lab and husky puppy, will entertain herself alone with this thing for quite a while. And then sometimes she wants to play. I'm not going to throw it right now. I'm sorry. She wants me to play fetch with her. But not at the moment. We will later, okay? Promise. We'll have a good game of fetch. But, Lisa, do you want to come say hi to the camera? Come here. Come here. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, so I have to raise her up a little bit. This is Lisa. See? Look, Lisa. Say hi to the camera. Say hi to the camera. Look. Oh, yeah. See? Aren't you cute? Isn't she cute? This is Lisa Moon. She's about 14 months old. She's a husky puppy. And I love her so much. Okay, I'm put you down. There you go. You'll get it back later. Right, so one of the main things floating through my head about all of this has been that I really underestimated the number of people in the USA who align themselves with Trump. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I've been saying for like the last 4 years, oh, it's not that many people. It's just a small fraction. Oh, shush. A lot of people that voted for him once, you know, was more of a protest thing and they wouldn't do it again. Go on. But look how many people freaking voted for the guy this time. I mean, it would be the record of like voter turnout if it wasn't for Biden's people coming out stronger. Nope, not right now. Later, okay? Now she's on the other side. Okay, go on. So that's shocking to me. I really thought it was a minor portion of America, and it's a much bigger portion. Go on, stay. And what does that mean? I think my theory is that a lot of people that were formerly apolitical were motivated to, you know, get in the racist line, get in the hate line, and get politically involved. And thank God enough other people came out to vote against Trump. You know, and I do think there was a massive amount of voters voting against Trump that would have voted for anyone against Trump, like a lot of people. And one of my thoughts, hey, listen, that's enough. Go on. Go see Sarah. Go on. Go see Sarah. Go.
Want a treat?
Bribing puppies. We'll get a treat later, okay? But there we are. An insane amount of people voted for Trump. And I know they're not all like neo-Nazis, but a lot of them are. But a whole lot of them advocate, all of them advocate keeping this guy around with the sexism, the greed, the religious fanaticism, which is fake on his part, the corruption, the treason. I mean, the list is so long of horrendous character flaws and crimes of Trump and his minions, his relatives, and his whole crew. I mean, it's a massive amount of reasons to not want this guy in the White House, who was illegitimate to begin with. And maybe we'd be in a different world if the media covered that, if the Democrats had covered that. I mean, literally, like, Trump was installed through a rigged election, and the Democrats never complained at all. So a thought I just had a few minutes ago was, look what's happening. Now, I know Trumpers a lot of them are really fucking cuckoo, but look what's happening when a political party leader announces and complains about election fraud. Of course, they're also accusing voter fraud, which is crap. Doesn't happen. Stay. But election fraud is, there hasn't been any election fraud proven on the part of the Democrats. But there is well-documented election fraud on the part of the Republicans going back 20 years. And I'm not talking about just, hey, stop. Go. I'm not just talking about gerrymandering. You tell her. I'm not talking about just the purging a voter list, which is both huge problems. Just massive election fraud for the last 20 years. I mean, with W, they rigged it in Florida. Everyone knows the big problem in Florida, but there were like thousands and thousands of people's votes never counted because the Supreme Court said stop counting. And they gave it to W by like 500 something votes. Was it 537? 500 something votes. And there was thousands of votes that just didn't get counted. I was watching MSNBC late last night, early this morning, for those of you who went to bed before me. And fucking Joe Scarborough, who's a Republican, and why the fuck MSNBC gives shows like hours and hours of showtime to Republicans, I have no idea. Nicole Wallace is a Republican, and freaking Joe Scarborough is a Republican. I don't know about his wife. There's like so many Republicans on as guests all the time, like Michael Steele, former chair of the RNC. These people bring nothing of value to MSNBC, to anyone's experience. I mean, they're Republicans who were in lockstep with W. And I guess Trump was one step too far. I mean, clearly starting wars, illegal wars, was okay with them, but they couldn't swallow the Trump pill. So what is that, a personality clash? I mean, it's not a moral stand. You know, what is, maybe, hi, Julie, how you doing? Maybe Trump has been more offensive in more personal ways to some Republicans, which is why they turned against him. You know, maybe there's things that they just couldn't stomach about his personality. But a Republican president who's illegally installed and committing crimes against the country, against the Constitution and international law, that's not new. Not new at all. W did that for 8 years, and they had 2 elections that were rigged for him. Florida happened, and then in 2004, Ohio happened. A Republican Secretary of State. That's the thing. If you have Republican Secretaries of State and governors running elections, you're going to have an unfair election. You're going to have election fraud. I mean, that's just the last 20 years. And going back to my original point, Democrats said nothing. Nothing at all. So as we're seeing, Trump's inaccurate accusations are stirring up a lot of fuss, right? Making quite a buzz. And they're inaccurate. If Gore had gone to the people and said, look, they're stealing the election, this is not legitimate, what would have happened? If he had done, if Kerry, instead of like just rolling over and saying, sure, steal it from me, like the day of the election or the next day. I remember John Edwards wanted to like pursue recounts and whatnot, and Kerry was like, no. Go around the country begging for everyone's, last dollar, sure, but fight for the people, fight for a fair election, no, not whatsoever. So lost a lot of respect for Gore and Kerry, and that's 2 terms under W that you had a Republican in the White House appointing judges, lifetime appointments, Supreme Court justices, W being in the White House, and then with Trump being in the White House, and Democrats say nothing at all. So it's just amazing to me. If they had stood up against the election, if they had called it out like some journalists do, like Greg Palast, Brad Friedman, some amazing independent journalists that are investigative journalists and have written books and made films and have email lists, and you should all be on the email lists, by the way. I'm going to type their names because if you're not already following the writings of Greg Palast, can I type and talk at the same time? And Brad Friedman, you should be, because they've been covering American politics and election fraud for many years, and they're amazing. But the Democrats never did stand up for us against election fraud, and now they're being accused of election fraud and voter fraud. Well, the people are being accused of voter fraud, which is bullshit, and the Democrats, wherever Democrats are involved or in charge of states, they're being accused of election fraud, which is most likely bullshit. Anyway, there we are. We live in America that does not represent or reflect the will of the people, and it hasn't for a very long time. Can you imagine what kind of country we'd be in if W hadn't happened? 9/11 probably wouldn't have happened. The Iraq wars, the Afghanistan war probably wouldn't have happened. I mean, it's amazing. So anyways, here we are. Come January, we'll have Biden, Kamala in charge, and I'm really excited about Kamala. 1 out of 2, it's better than nothing. I'm already hearing how there's, inside the Democratic Party, there's the corporatist centrists, the old guard, trying to resist and dismiss the progressives, but the progressives are taking more ground. There's going to be a better crop of Democrats in January than there has been for the last 4 years, because some progressive Democrats have beat the old centrist corporatist Democrats in the primaries and won their races. So it's going to be a better Congress. And people like Pelosi, who have just been very dismissive of what we actually need in this country, and progressives who are fighting for what we need, it's going to have to reckon with more pressure. So I'm really hoping that with Kamala, who I see as a progressive, she's been an incredible senator, with her advice, having the ear of the president, and I think Kamala is going to be the next president, because I think Biden, it seems that Biden only wants 4 years, and that means Kamala is first in line, and we all know she wanted to be president. So I have some hope that the Democratic Party is going to be a more progressive institution than they have been. And there's so many things that need fixing. There's so many things. But let's start with prosecutions. The impeachment didn't work. It really wasn't run very well, but it didn't work, and it wasn't going to work because Republicans have no souls. But there's a lot of work they need to do. There's a lot of things they can't do without the Senate. I mean, Biden can overturn every executive order, as far as I'm aware, that Trump did, and make a lot of his own, which would be great if they're good things, half-assed things. We have a lot of opportunity in terms of executive order action. Expanding the Supreme Court would be great, but that takes the Senate. So obviously, our next burst of energy needs to be directed to Georgia to win the Senate. If the people of Georgia felt important in the general election, oh my God, they're going to be so much more important come January. So I know there are a lot of groups already fundraising and planning to do outreach, and I'll get involved with any of that I can. I didn't do any of the campaigning, texting, all that sort of stuff during the general, because I couldn't ask people to go out and vote for Biden, who voted for the Iraq War, which in my mind makes him a war criminal. He may have become a better human since then, but to me, there's no forgiveness for that. However, now he's president, and Kamala is going to be hopefully amazing, and there's a lot of momentum. And are there enough people in Georgia for the Democrats to take the Senate, to come out and vote for that? I have no idea. Like, if every single voter in Georgia voted, would there be more Republican votes or more Democrat votes? My hope is that without Trump on the ticket, that some of his people just give up on politics. I think there's probably a lot of rednecks, a lot of just racist, ignorant motherfuckers that got involved with that, went out and voted, probably registered for the first time or voted for the first time in a long time. Probably pretty apolitical people that got excited because of Trump. But without Trump on the ticket, maybe less of them show up. Anyway, super important. Georgia is, I was doing the Dance of Joy. Me and Sarah were doing the Dance of Joy on Sunday because Trump is out and because Kamala's in and a Democrat is in versus a Republican. Soon. But it is definitely like we have however many days. What do you have, 60 days or something? Less, until the catch-up election in Georgia. And it's got to be a huge win. It has to be. It has to get all the attention we can possibly muster and all the effort we can possibly muster. So John Ossoff and the name of the other candidate eludes me at the moment. The Reverend. These guys would be far better for the people that they represent and for all of us than the Republican senators. I mean, Ossoff's running against an absolute criminal. I mean, he literally called him a crook to his face in the debate, and the guy had no defense. But it would enable so much positive change. Because the question then is, will the Democrats rise to the occasion and really work for all the positive changes that we need? I know some of them will, and I certainly am praying that the Democrats can take Georgia. Anyway, what are your thoughts, Julie? What's going on? Are you still celebrating? Are you getting into focus on Georgia mode? Is there anything you want to talk about tonight, Julie? Anything you want to put on the table? If you want to talk, you can call my phone and I'll put you on speaker, and people can listen to you. You don't have to type as much. But by all means, if you're out there, there's 3 people in the room right now, then feel free to type me your thoughts or anything that you'd like to talk about, to bring up, any comments you have on topics at hand. It is definitely a happy day, happy time for the world. I mean, church bells ringing in Paris, fireworks in. It's amazing. I mean, it's really amazing. Julia, how progressive is Kamala? Okay, so here's my understanding of Kamala. People have very harshly criticized her for her time in California. The first things I ever heard about Kamala were like fantastic. Like she was fighting for the people, rejecting crappy settlements with the big banks to get better settlements, fighting against big bank corruption, for the people. The first things I ever heard about her was that she was this progressive that was like standing up for the people and standing up against corporate America, against the big banks, which is huge. I mean, that gets you a lot of credit in my book. When she ran for president, I mean, she's been an amazing senator, like just nailing corrupt people to the wall in Senate hearings. I mean, her and Katie Porter and AOC have been my favorite people to watch on camera. You know, get glimpses once in a while of them just being really fierce. So she's been an amazing senator. Now, when she ran for president, a lot more of her record came up. A lot more people started talking about issues that they had with her. That she was too pro-police during her time. No, she was anti-death penalty, and she stood strong by that, which I have huge respect for. What I've read about Kamala is that she came up through close elections, and that I don't know where her real values were at the time or positions. You know, I don't know her personally, but she played her election agendas more centrist and was winning close elections. So she may have felt that she had to. And I'm not passing judgment on that, whether you know, she should or shouldn't have done that. But she got into office and she did some good things as a state attorney general, and then she became a senator, and she's been a really righteous senator. So I haven't looked at her voting record in the Senate lately, and it'd be interesting to look at. There's so many things that the House has passed that the Senate didn't even get to vote on. You know, so I'm sure there's probably a ton of things that Kamala would have on her voting record if things had come up for a vote. But the old evil turtle in the Senate doesn't allow things to come up for a vote. So anyway, I have a lot of faith in her. I think she will be progressive. I think she's more progressive by far than Joe, and I'm hoping that she pushes him to the left in that way. I mean, he picked her knowing what she's all about. Also, it was smart for him to pick a woman of color, but I have faith that she means what she says. She seems to be a person of integrity in my eyes. So we'll see. I think people should give her a chance. I think people should judge her Senate record more than before. Julie's calling. I'm going to put her on speaker. Okay, here we go. Hi, Julie.
Hi. How you doing?
Good. If you want to just turn the sound off on your computer so we don't have an echo on the phone from your computer.
Oh, okay.
So,
is that better?
Yeah, thank you. So now we have Julie Meskel, an amazing, very, very conscious, progressive, lifelong activist. As long as I've known Julie, she's been a person that I really respected and thought was very wise in many issues, being animal rights issues or politics. So yeah, Julie, what's going on?
No, not really. Not as much as you, Alec. You're really on top of all these issues. So yeah, not too much going on here. So basking in the victory glow here still.
Basking in the victory glow. Julie, 1 second. I'm going to plug my phone in real fast. Can you give me 1 second? Okay. I had to rewire some things. And so I didn't have my phone plugged in, but I will momentarily. If I can get this charger working. Okay. Hey, Julie, we're
Okay.
We're good. So you're basking in the glow.
Yeah. So I've never really thought of Kamala as being progressive, but then you had been mentioning that lately, and so I kind of looked it up, and I guess there are different ways to look at it, but in some ways, I guess she has been. I've heard about her being, such a fierce cop and all that. The tough prosecutor, and putting, poor people behind bars for petty crimes like marijuana and stuff. But I guess there's always another side to that. I think that happened a lot before marijuana was legal in California. right?
Yeah.
And then I think also keeping nonviolent criminals in jail longer than their sentences, so that they can, be put on labor farms or, to fight wildfires and stuff. But from what I read, she was actually opposed to that.
Good.
To that argument that some of her attorneys made in court.
Okay.
But so I don't know if is she really responsible because she's in charge, or is it the fault of other people? Her. So I don't know.
I would love to hear I'd love to see her interviewed on television. Have someone ask her that. How much power she had over the people underneath her. I can't help think that she must have played things a bit more as a centrist to get elected, which I don't know, but I'm glad she got where she is. I think she's been an amazing senator. There's certainly things that decisions that were made by her or under her that I disagree with. Maybe she disagreed with as well. That'd be interesting. So I have no problem with people criticizing things on her record that I disagree with at all. But her time in the Senate I think she's been very, very fierce and very much on the side of the people.
Yeah, I like the way that she's taken on Kavanaugh and some others during Senate hearing and the impeachment. How she's great.
Did you see her taking on Barrett in the Supreme Court hearings a couple weeks ago when she was video chatting in from home?
No, I just saw that.
Yeah, it was good. It was kind of like the Kavanaugh thing, just making good points. I mean, it was not gonna go anywhere good, but she did her part.
Yeah. So I don't know if I missed in the beginning. Did you talk at all about this transition time? Is this a time that we should be worried between now and January 20th, not knowing what Trump might do? And, did you hear about how the agency that's actually in charge of signing over, money for the transition to happen, they're, the person in charge is a Trump appointee from the general accounting administration.
Yeah.
And so she won't sign it. So that money, it's like $10 million or something, is being held back, and the Biden administration will need that to set up offices and everything so they can be ready to get to work on the 20th of January.
So he's obviously Biden's obviously going to replace her. So I mean, I would think that they would be able to do things like that and just save the receipts and get reimbursed later if it's just about moving expenses.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, I think. But there's also an official document, I think, that has to be signed that says, okay, now officially, we're gone and you all can take over. You're the next administration.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Trump's telling her to delay on that. Right.
I mean, Trump has crippled our government in so many ways. I mean, the EPA, so many ways. But I mean, I read an article, I think I shared it. Someone was saying, okay, so McConnell's saying, wants to block all of Biden's cabinet appointments. So basically, submit who he wants, but in the meantime, appoint acting people, temporary people, which apparently is a thing. I've done a lot of that where you say, okay, I can't get approval for this person, but I'm going to, put them in or put someone else in as, temporary. So if Biden appoints some super extreme leftists as acting positions, the thought behind this article was McConnell's going to be okay, fine, we'll take the person you wanted, which should be interesting. I'm concerned about what Trump might do in the next couple months for sure. I'm concerned what his followers might do. I think it's so ridiculous that whoever gets elected president, regardless of the background, has their football. I mean, what are we thinking? Living in a country where someone like Trump could have access to nuclear weapons and authorizing them. What the fuck? That is just so insane to me. someone like him, that it doesn't take more than that, is just nuts to me, because we've had elections rigged a few times now, and because he is him, it's insane. But I'm encouraging people to not go to, outdoor gatherings. I don't trust the supporters. They're already being violent around the country. A friend of mine told me today at Huntington Beach, this lady came up and just, some Trumpers out with signs and yelling and screaming. And my friend was just shaking her head in her car at a red light. And this lady came and started knocking on a window and yelling at her to like roll her window down, like she needed to argue with her. And my friend, of course, didn't. But then there was a report later that 2 women got into a fight at that. Some kind of altercation happened later. So I think people should just stay away from mass gatherings. I mean, the Democrats won. There's no need to go and protest the results of this election. And the people that are the right wingers, and they're dangerous. And when this is over, they're gonna hopefully go home and be less of a threat. They'll be just as racist, just as psychotic, just as deplorable, to use to coin a term. But I wouldn't want to be in the middle of a bunch of them. So I hope people don't do a lot of in the street stuff. But there's a lot of really petty stuff Trump could do. There's really dangerous stuff Trump could do. I mean, I don't know how much military stuff he'd get away with. KPFK had someone on today talking about how when was it under Nixon, someone that was leaving office, a general at the time, was like, okay, if he orders anything, you bring it through me first. So hopefully the top brass of the military would question or maybe block anything really horrible that Trump might do. Assuming that missiles aren't launched, most of the damage Trump could do in the next 2 months, I think they'd be able to undo, other than more people dying from COVID and more immigrants dying in cages and horrible things like that.
Well, you would think that you really wouldn't have much motivation to do that. It's not like that's going to win him any points with anyone to, but the election's over, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Have you seen the video going around? It was like a Trump impersonator in like a kindergarten, like thrashing around on the floor and whining and screaming, like someone playing Pence was trying to drag him out. He's like, I don't want to go. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that. I saw an excerpt from John Bolton's book about how someone was telling him, I don't remember, somebody in his cabinet or something was saying that Trump acted like an 11-year-old kid, but then he had to correct himself. He said, no, he's really more like a 1-year-old with his tantrums,
Totally. Completely. Yeah. It is so embarrassing. I mean, I have heard people say things, prior to the election, like, oh, no, he's really awful, or, he's really a jerk, or he's really embarrassing, but I'm going to vote for him. For some people, it was because they thought he was better for the finances. Like, oh my God, like your responsibility as an American is greater than that, greater than your pocketbook. There's so many reasons, so many things wrong with a single issue voter or, religious fanatics. Oh, well, I'm voting for him because I'm anti-abortion. Well, he's not anti-abortion. You fucking kidding me? He pretends he is.
Yeah.
I mean, they got what they wanted. They got an illegitimate presidency by rigging the election. They got illegitimate Supreme Court appointments, and there may be damage done to Roe versus Wade if we don't get Georgia. But if we get Georgia, then we just have to hope that Kamala and other people can push Biden to expand the court. I want to know, and I've been meaning to research this. I mean, I did a little bit. Federal judges can be impeached. It can happen. And there's been 1,200 or more federal judges that Trump has appointed. There's a way to get rid of them. They're lifetime appointments unless they're impeached. And they can also expand a lot of these courts. Carter, I think, was the last one to do that. You can expand a lot of courts to water down the effect of these right-wing psychos. who are unqualified and really illegitimate in terms of how they got there. Ugh.
Yeah, we should do that for sure.
Yeah, and I would think that would take a braver Congress than we're likely to have, meaning a Congress that isn't under Pelosi. I would, I don't expect her to be amazing because she mostly isn't. And she's, if she continues as House Speaker, I hope the progressives are able to push her. We're going to have a better crop. In the beginning, I was talking about how we're going to have a better crop of Democrats because the ones that are going back, there's more progressives that won over centrists in primaries and kicked out some centrists. So we're going to have a better crop of Democrats, even though slightly smaller. Crazy that there's still, races that are uncalled. We have one in Orange County. Harley Ruda is a couple percentage points behind in his race. I would hate to see him lose. But they're going to have a majority. A smaller majority, but a majority. And amongst themselves, they will be, I think, a more progressive population. So, yay for that, for whatever that means in the House for the next 2 years. And then here's another election. Without Trump on the ticket, my hope is that less crazy right-wingers show up to vote, and that, there was a huge, the biggest turnout ever, I think, and even so, it was only like 50%. But that's like the highest it's ever been for like 18 to 29, like newer voters came out in like record numbers and voted for Biden. So that's hopeful. There will be a lot more people turning 18 in the next 2 years. We may be able to, take the Senate then, or take more of the Senate, take more of the House. Hopefully.
Right.
Do you think with Trump gone, it'll mean less progressives or less, left-leaning voters showing up?
Not as many left-leaning voters?
Yeah, you think with Trump gone, without the motivation of resisting Trump, do you think the Democrat voting turnout will fall off at all?
I think it could. I think that's always a danger. When you get somebody who's more like-minded than you tend to kind of fall asleep.
Yeah. If the Democrats can take the Senate and they do a lot of good and people really are aware of it, there's so many things. I mean, healthcare, obviously, healthcare could be ripped away from millions of people in a few days from now. But there's a lot of things that they can make a real impact on people's lives in the next 2 years that I think would build momentum, hopefully, to remind people why it's important to vote. I mean, people got it this time. People showed up. They realized it's important. It's important to go out and vote. And that's amazing. Unfortunately, a lot of them were also Trumpers. In the beginning, also, I don't know if you heard this, I was talking about how I think there's a lot more crazy right-wingers in America than I ever did. For the last 4 years, I've been saying I think they're a small population. A lot of people voted against Hillary, not really for Trump, but voted for Trump. And the turnout shows that there's a whole lot of, basically half of the people who bother to vote, 4 million, less than half, but an awful lot of people. It has dimmed my outlook on the American soul. Not to the point of, it's all bad. The majority is still good, but there's a lot more people in America that have serious, I think, moral issues when it comes to who they support politically than I thought.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that way too.
Yeah,
and they're not mostly wealthy people, unless they're people who think that mistakenly that they're going to be served by his tax breaks. But so if they're not super wealthy, if they're not all pro-lifers, then it tells me that they're probably more than likely they're just really racist and non-tolerant.
Yeah,
people.
I would love to to hear what's going through people of color's heads that voted for Trump. The 20% of Black men, I think it was, that voted for him. The Latinos in Florida. I don't know why there's so many right-wing Cubans. I mean, I know the history with Cuba and all that, but how does a person of color rationalize voting for Trump or even being a Republican? It's It's
Yeah.
insanity.
Yeah. I'll ask my neighbor, maybe. I have a neighbor 2 doors down. She's black, and she's probably about my age. She has a huge Trump sign out, hanging outside. I know she works for a drug company.
Oh.
Pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
I haven't had, I wait here when I drive down the street to walk the dog. I haven't really, we haven't kind of connected over the last few months, but I just think maybe it's the environment in which she works. She's probably influenced by other people, but.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that are mostly apolitical that get suckered into going along with their spouse or their friends and never do any of their own research. But I mean, you kind of have to be in a coma for the last 4 years, right? To not have, at least 25 reasons not to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
And I can understand people voting against Trump by voting for anyone, third party, whatever. I understand people just, not wanting to vote for Biden, but still voting against Trump. But to vote for Trump is a stamp of approval on everything that he's done, because he would only do more of all of it. If you feel like, oh, well, he might be better for my pocketbook or whatever, whatever. There's like so many other things that will hurt you, or at least hurt people you care about. Like there are so many, it's not rational for anyone to vote for Trump if they care about their fellow humans, their fellow Americans.
Yeah. It seems like everybody I've spoken with who has been a supporter of Trump has used the excuse that they don't like Biden. They don't really talk about how much they like Trump, but they'll say, oh, do you know how awful Biden is? And I have to, agree with some of what they say about Biden's record and everything.
Yeah.
But,
Biden may have become a better human in recent years, but he's done a lot of damage. Every Supreme Court opinion that a decision that Clarence Thomas has ever made is on Biden's head. I mean, he voted for the Iraq War. I mean, I will never be a Biden fan. I see him kind of like if you had an uncle that fought for the Nazis, became a nice guy in later years. Pretty unforgivable stuff in his record. He seems charming. He seems like he'd be a lovely guy to have a beer with. He may care about people. He may be a nice guy. He may be on the right side of a lot of issues now, but there are plenty of reasons for people not to have supported him at all. And like I said, vote for third parties, whatever. But to vote, to enable, to advocate, to give your personal stamp of approval to Trump after everything that he's done is I can't relate. And that's why I always go back to, I think people are coming from a misguided place. I have a list of character flaws that people, see in Trump, relate with, whether it's racism, sexism, greed, religious fanaticism, obsession with power, whatever it is. Their demons got the better of them, and they're willing to excuse. Like when people voted for W a second time after he started in 2 illegal wars, and they still voted for him because they were religious or whatever. Like that is not even logical. If you care about human life, you don't vote for a guy who's starting wars. And also that the Republicans who, like the Lincoln Project and people I see on MSNBC, who worked for W or were part of the W team or part of the Republican Party cheering him on. The fact that those people are being treated with any kind of deference now, like given a platform, given a microphone on mainstream news or on MSNBC or CNN, like those people should have been like banned from the political conversation, and some of them should have probably gone to jail with W. I mean, it's so ludicrous to me that something finally clicked for them, a personality clash maybe. The crimes of W were okay with them, but the crimes of Trump were like one step too far. And in my view, it's probably not even the crimes of Trump. It's probably just like, his personality, like he stepped on a lot of toes. maybe some of these people care a little bit more about certain domestic rights or aspects of our country and didn't give a shit about brown people being killed overseas. I don't know. I mean, I have no patience for these. I'm glad they turned against W. I'm glad that they funded some great commercials with the Lincoln Project. I mean, yeah, good job. But I can't take them very seriously.
Really? So you don't think that, like, going forward, that they're going to do much to, you know, to make things more, I don't know.
Not Republicans. No, the Republicans, the Republicans that came out against Trump, the ones that I've seen on TV still identify as Republicans. And if you identify as a Republican in the age of W or recently after, you're not on the side of what's good for the people. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to go back to opposing, you know, what's good for clean air or clean water or healthcare or women's rights, you know, immigrant rights. They haven't become progressives. I mean, they haven't become anything other than they didn't like Trump.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, when I was organizing, when I was running sound and doing live music for Dennis Kucinich when he was running for president, I met Republicans then that were like, you know, I was always Republican, but not anymore. And now I'm a Democrat because I think Kucinich is great, and I think, you know, that, you know, W is evil, whatever the case. Those are the people I respect. The people that are like, okay, I can't be a part of this anymore, I'm leaving, right? But the people that aren't leaving the Republican Party and haven't left the Republican Party just because they acknowledge the crimes of Trump, to me, doesn't make them suddenly respectable.
Right. I agree.
I mean, there's the argument of changing a party from within. You know, people that are like, no, you know, I'm going to be a Democrat and like AOC and push the party to the left. I respect that. But the Republican Party has just done such egregious things, just absolutely unforgivable criminal things, crimes against humanity, crimes against the Constitution. I can't see rationalizing be a part of that. Like, you can't be a part of the resistance, really, like legitimately a part of the resistance, and be a part of that political party that's doing the things you're resisting. I mean, it doesn't wash to me. You know, so I don't take Michael Steele seriously. That guy, that old white dude that's on MSC all the time. What's his name? Sarah, what's that guy's name that I can't stand? Oh, not in the room. Okay. There's various people on that I see on MSNBC and on CNN that they love to give a microphone to, but it's like, come on. These people were like so completely on the wrong side during the W years and during the Obama years. And suddenly now, you know, Trump violated their taste, and I don't know. You know, I could see anyone on earth being offended by Trump in some way. So it's like, yeah, great. Thanks for not supporting Trump. But it's not like we should look to them for any sort of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
But we don't need to. We don't need to, because there's more of us than them. There are more. Obviously, this of the people who bothered to vote, which is still not nearly enough. Not nearly enough people voted, but more than we have had voting. And of them, there's 4 million more, you know, that voted against Trump.
That's true. You have to convince. I mean, they'll still say that they're the party of Lincoln and they're the party that's helped African Americans, and, you know, with the crime bill and, you know, getting blacks out of jail and blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It cracks me up when a Republican of today tries to align themselves with Lincoln as a Republican. I mean, political parties have shifted and morphed and been replaced so much since then.
Right. I mean, not that the Democratic Party's always been so good either.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing. Like, I've heard right-wingers like Trumpers try and say, oh, well, you know, the Democrats did these racist things like back in the time of the Southern Democrats. You know, like, yeah, that was awful. But are we talking 60 years ago, or are we talking what's happening now? Like, this guy on my Facebook was saying, oh, well, there's been all kinds of, you know, voter fraud, blah, 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 from the Democrats. And like, give me an example. And he brought up something in JFK's era. Like, are you kidding me? We're talking about the election happening like this month, and you're talking about Kennedy? Like that.
Right.
That's a separate conversation.
Exactly. And then I thought that there was a statistic from the Heritage Foundation, which is very right wing, and they said that voter fraud just doesn't happen. It happens like 0.0006% of the time or something. You know, basically doesn't happen. But voter suppression, we know it does happen.
Big time.
It's destroying voter machines and having machines not working, and you know, and everything that was going on at the post office.
And some of the people that actually tried to vote twice to prove a point and got arrested were Republicans, showing that it's hard to do.
Oh, they did? I didn't hear about that.
Not this election. In previous elections, there's been stories of Republicans getting arrested for voter fraud, which means that they got caught trying to prove a point that it can take place, and they got caught. I mean, it's like you said.
They did get caught, so so it doesn't go under the radar, you know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was recommending that people read, get on the mailing lists for Brad Friedman and Greg Palast, because they're such amazing investigative journalists, and they've been covering this stuff.
I should. I mean, I hear both of them from time to time when I turn on KPFK.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I should get on their podcast.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they have podcasts, but their email lists are fantastic. And you know, Greg has films, Greg has books, Brad Friedman has years and years of articles and radio shows. I emailed Brad Friedman recently and I said, "Hey man, what's it going to take to get you back on TV?" And his response was, "Do I have to?" And I was like, "No." Yeah, Brad Friedman's been on TV before, not nearly enough, and maybe he didn't like the experience. I don't know, but we need his voice out there. That's why I always encourage people to get on his email list, because he's been covering, you know, election fraud and problems with their voting machines and with electoral issues for a long time, just like Greg Palast.
Oh, cool. So he sends out like a regular newsletter or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. His website is bradblog.com.
Okay.
Yeah, the Brad blog is great, and that's the name of his newsletter that he sends out. And of course, Greg Palast has one too. And Greg did a lot of work in Georgia with Stacey Abrams. He really deserves some credit, along with her and a lot of other people who did great work in Georgia to overcome the election fraud and voter suppression there. And my hope now is, with 2 more months and so much focus on Georgia, like they were using voting machines that some judge basically agreed, like, these are crap, we shouldn't be using these, but it's like too close, there's like a couple weeks in the election, so we're going to use them. Where the correct decision would have been, we're not going to use them, we're going to go strictly paper ballot, 100% paper ballot, and that would have been, you know, the thing to do for democracy. But we've got 2 months until the Georgia runoffs, so it's
it's time now.
A lot of things can happen between now and then, and I'm eager to hear from Greg Palast and, you know, see his next newsletter and see what Stacey Abrams and other you know, community leaders are doing in Georgia to see how they can fix things before that runoff election. Because if they can re-enfranchise thousands and tens of thousands of disenfranchised voters in the next couple months, that could be pivotal for these 2 races.
Yeah, for sure. So, I wonder what they're going to do, if they're going to try to, you know, just try to find all the young people. Maybe, you know, we got to get all the younger voters out. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how many people in Georgia are going to turn 18 between now and January 5th, but there's a lot of people that have been disenfranchised that need their voting rights restored. And, you know, I don't know I haven't seen any percentage turnouts in Georgia. I don't know how many of the people registered to vote. I don't know how many people percentage-wise actually voted. But I mean, they turned Georgia blue, right? So they didn't turn the Senate races blue, which is kind of odd. Like, so you got to think some of those.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, that kind of makes a point that you know, the election wasn't stolen, right? Otherwise, all these people voting for Biden they wouldn't have voted for
Right.
the Republicans.
Oh, totally. Yeah, there is some slice of the populace that likes to vote for Republicans but couldn't stomach Trump again. God knows what they did 4 years ago, but some of them probably voted for him, gave him a chance, and then couldn't take him anymore. So that concerns me. It's not going to be easy, but if we can increase turnout amongst, like I said, like 18 to 29-year-olds, like we had the highest turnout ever, and it was only like low 50s%. So that's still kind of pathetic that, only half of young people are exercising their voting rights, but there's room to grow there. There is room to increase turnout amongst, probably every slice of the voting populace, but that a lot of room with young people. And you would think with the school shootings and things that there would have been, I don't know. I don't know what the highest percentage was before, but when I heard that it was a record turnout, I thought great. And then I heard the percentage in the 50s, and I thought that's pathetic.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the percentages of people in the whole country who vote, but it's not, not anywhere near where it should be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, typically it's like around 60%. I don't know. And they're still counting votes, so we can't really get a firm answer on that. I heard today that Orange County, where we are, had like an 83% estimated turnout, and they're still counting votes. But that's that's pretty good. I mean,
that's good.
Yeah, I'm kind of proud of Orange County. Obviously, there's a mix. Orange County is very mixed. It's not a red county anymore. It's in purple county. It went 100% blue for Congress in 2018, and now they're on the verge of losing 1 or 2 seats maybe. But it's at least not a red county anymore. So
we voted for Obama.
It's going the right way. Yeah. And Orange County voted for Clinton too.
Right. Oh, so I heard that 91% of Black women voters voted for
for Biden.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they all voted for. I'm sure, like the vast majority of them, but I mean, 91% of any group is amazing, right? Because vote just to any demographic.
Yeah,
91% off the vote is good.
Julie, I've been going kind of mulling this over. Like, do you think that Bernie would have had the same turnout, less turnout, more turnout if Bernie was at the top of the ticket? And the factors here for me are, I know he was pulling 10 points ahead of Hillary, and he would have had he would be president right now if it wasn't for the DNC rig in the primary, because he would have beat Trump. Right. I'm absolutely sure he would have beat Trump. But this time, with Biden having so much love, so many people motivated in the African American, in the Black community, because they love Obama and Biden. And Clyburn, leading the charge there. Even though I think Bernie should have rightfully won the primary this year as well, I wonder if he would have had as much turnout. Because
I've thought a lot about that too. I don't know. There's just so much misinformation out there and spin, and with Trump, like Trump was just saying, was it just like a week ago or something, right before the election, like, oh, we can't have a socialist in there, especially a woman. And I couldn't believe that. Really? Like, even his base, are they that sexist? We can't have Kamala in there. She's a socialist and a woman. So I don't know. I don't know. I do know a lot of people who didn't vote for Biden, who were, Bernie supporters.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the fence for a while, and I ended up voting for Biden. But I think he would have. I think he would have. Which I think so. I mean, you saw all the excitement of all the rallies. Of course, with COVID, we wouldn't have had all those rallies, right?
Right. But, Bernie would have been much more in the people's interests. But the American people are notorious for voting against their own interests. I mean, look at the propositions in California. Of course, Californians don't apparently read and vote.
Yeah.
They're really stupid when it comes to these things. But I mean, we had freaking Reagan and Schwarzenegger as governors. But you know, there's so many times that people don't do what's good for them, and the people that, you know, are trying to go back to the Red Scare of the 1950s, that socialism, communism, whatever, they don't even know what these terms mean. But there are those people that I wish we could do a poll of every American voter and get the exact percentage of how many people voted against Trump, voted for Biden to vote against Trump, and how many people voted for Biden because they would vote for him no matter what. And you know, there's no way to know this, obviously. I mean, I'm have huge amounts of disappointment for Bernie for not protesting the rigging of the primary twice. I mean, Dennis Kucinich protest. You know, he spoke out when the DNC was rigging the debates and keeping him out. Dennis Kucinich would have been an amazing president, and he would have been great in the debates. But you know, Bernie at least got into the debates. You know, people know him. He's a known thing. But he didn't stand up for himself when they rigged the primary. I don't know. I just kind of wonder, like, if what would have happened there. You know, Biden, there's a Democrat coming in, you know, which is worth celebrating because it means Trump's going out. It means the Republicans are going out. In terms of like cabinet stuff, I really hope Biden doesn't like take some of our best senators out of, you know, and I hope they don't agree to do it. Like if Elizabeth Warren, for instance, became a cabinet head or whatever, I just would think we'd be losing such a champion of the Senate. Who knows who would be appointed behind them? Like, I was really unhappy to have Kamala be vice president, you know, to be on the ticket, because I don't want to lose her as a senator. But obviously, she wants to be president. She ran for president, so, you know, more power to her. Hopefully, Newsom appoints someone amazing. We'll see. I mean, there are other amazing people that, you know, can take over and in positions. And a state like California, I mean, you don't even have to be that amazing. I mean, Feinstein's won election how many times? I mean, it's a very blue state, but there are places, there are people I would like to see stay in the Senate and not get drafted into a Biden administration. And there's great people that like Stacey Abrams would be, I'm sure, great in a position, but I'd rather see her run for governor, you know, or run for, you know, the House or the Senate at some point. She's incredible, and she's not in office right now, so sure, you know, she wants to. I would assume that even if you're in the cabinet, you could still run for a political office, right? Like if you're the head of the EPA or something and you want to run for governor, you could do that, right?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, she was done so much that she says, you know, like her goal is to fix the election fraud in this country. So, I mean, yeah, not many people are willing to do that. So,
yeah,
I just love this.
And Greg Palast and Stacey Abrams, I mean, they've been taking, like, you know, the Georgia government to court and winning cases. It's really possible that a lot of damage in Georgia could get fixed. I'm in the next 2 months, I hope, if there's enough demand and action. I mean, like, that's going to take judges, I think, not super corrupt judges, enforcing actions, and a lot of the voters have to, like, people have to check the voter registration. You know, they have to make sure that they're still registered, that they haven't been amongst the millions of Americans illegitimately purged from the voter rolls. Everyone in Georgia needs to, like, go double check the voter status and plan to vote. It's going to be a very, I think, exciting and interesting next 2 months, just focused on Georgia. And, you know, maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, we'll get the results from Alaska and Arizona and see what happened in this election. But obviously, we don't need them. But it would be nice to see, you know, Alaska doesn't have, there's not a lot of people expecting Alaska to turn blue, but it's possible. And Arizona's still so up in the air. But I would love to see Trump lose by, like, a bigger margin, like a really big margin. That would just feel good.
Yeah. I said that my son had sent me something about, like, it showed the different outcomes if people had voted, different demographics had voted, like if only white men voted, this is what the country would look like.
Oh, heaven help us.
Only, different groups, I sent that on Facebook. Interesting. And what else I sent something else about Georgia. I shared something that I got about all the different groups that are working for turning Georgia blue.
Yeah, I started getting fundraising emails, I think Sunday, like the day that the race was called, and they're already like sending out, send us money. Which, yeah, and I know people that are absolutely planning to send money to the two candidates in Georgia. I need to look this up. It's Ossoff and do you know the name of the Black Reverend that's running
in
Georgia?
No, it escapes me.
I'm gonna look it up right now. There's got to be very easy to find websites if people want to donate to their campaigns. There's a lot of groups raising money. There's obviously the candidates campaigns, but then there's lots of other groups that raise money to take action, whatever actions they take in support of candidates. There's people doing so much volunteer work. There has been, I got probably like several text messages a day for the last couple of weeks. Really redundant, but but it's okay. I mean,
yeah, so fairfight.com. There's Black Voters Matter, Spread the Vote Georgia, New Georgia Project, and then you can volunteer for John Ossoff.
Yeah.
Or Raphael Warnock.
Warnock.
Well, that must be. Yeah, phone bank for both Ossoff and Warnock.
Yes. Okay, good. So they're already recruiting people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah, Warnock. Yeah. It was like rattling around in my head, but I couldn't think of it.
Yeah. So, or everybody could move to Georgia and become a resident and be able to vote there. And we all had the money to do that. Buy a summer home in Georgia. Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, permanent moving to Georgia ain't never gonna happen. But spend a couple months in Atlanta and then come back. Yeah. I would guess that housing in Georgia is probably a lot more affordable than in Southern California, anywhere in California.
I'm sure, yeah. I know people who live there and they love it. They think, the weather's not bad. It's the South, so it doesn't get extreme cold. I mean, I'm sure it does get a little colder there in winter and a little more humid there in the summer.
Yeah.
Than it does here, but
Raphael Warnock. I am typing the names in case anyone is watching now or watches later. So you can go look up their campaign websites and donate if you feel so motivated, or donate energy, time, texting, phone banking, whatever. There's a lot of ways that people can be supportive of these campaigns. If anyone watching this knows anyone in Georgia, please contact them and make sure they're going to vote blue, and make sure that they're motivated to talk to everyone they know about voting blue. I mean, there's got to be a lot of people with relatives and friends in Georgia. So get motivated, people. Get people in Georgia motivated. Yeah, so put the names there. Well, is there I'm going to wrap the show up pretty soon. It's a little over an hour. Is there anything else you want to muse about, Julie?
Really? Let's see. Yeah, because COVID is still on the rise, right?
Yeah, it's crazy to me that we did this shutdown to prevent COVID from becoming basically what it is now. But we're not doing a shutdown to stop it from being what it is now. Like we called the shutdown when there was hardly any. Well, okay. At the time, we thought there was almost no COVID here. There was like 3 months of COVID here by then, but we know that. And now that things are like the worst statistically it's ever been, which is still not capturing all of it. There's still way more people that have it than the statistics show, because not everyone gets tested, not everyone gets diagnosed. But we're not doing I mean, there's other countries, like a bunch of other countries that are like, time to shut down for at least 2 weeks or 2 months, whatever it is. Crazy to me that's not happening, but we can't expect much rational, anything with this administration. But I'm wondering if things look like this or worse, in January, I'm wondering if Biden would get behind like another shutdown, like a real actual, and we never had more than a half a shutdown anyway. What we did this year is dragged on, but it was like maybe 50%. I mean, it was never a real shutdown, and that's why it hasn't worked. But I doubt that Biden would get behind like actually shut everything down like everywhere kind of thing. But I mean, it's what's necessary in a pandemic. It's what you do. But I'm curious to see whether he'll get behind. It seems like Newsom and like even like Democrat governors, whatever, like leaders, people in office, are more along the lines of, well, let's try and get through this. Make sure you wear a mask, which is the same thing as herd immunity. I mean, it's like one tiny, piece of hay away from, fuck it, don't do anything, just herd immunity, which is super deadly and dangerous. It is time for like our first really like significant and thorough shutdown. It is that's what we need to do to save lives. But it seems like Democrats are
really pushing the vaccine thing right now. They're gonna get that going at warp speed. No, thank you.
Exactly. I will never ever touch that vaccine. But even when they have that, even if like half the populace gets it, there's still going to be a whole lot of people like running around spreading it and getting it if they're not wearing masks and social distancing and whatnot. So anyways, with or without a popular vaccine, I basically foresee people like me wearing masks and social distancing for, until it's gone. There have been pandemics that just kind of evaporated. That'd be great. Don't know if that's going to happen with this one, but this new normal, for those of us that don't want to get a bunch of toxins injected into our bodies through a needle, this is going to go on. If you don't want to roll the dice and say, maybe I'll get it, I'm going to keep wearing a mask. I'm going to keep social distancing. America may never do what countries like New Zealand did, and they will lose a lot of citizens because of it. But I'm not going to roll the dice and just go back to normal, until it's really gone.
Right. So I heard that only 40% of nurses said that they would take a vaccine when it comes out.
Wow.
And 60% of doctors. So, if the medical community is questioning it that much, then I think we all should say, what does that say about everyone else?
Exactly. Well, and there's a lot of nurses, and I've known some who work in hospitals and ERs, and they see the babies coming in, the children coming in with vaccine damage, causing brain damage and disabling them. And they'll admit it, they'll talk about it. But the nurses that are working in pediatrician's office that are injecting the babies, that's not where you go when there's an emergency. You go to the ER. And so there's my understanding is there's a lot more hospital nurses that are honest about the dangers of vaccines because they see the damage than there are pediatrician office, doctors and nurses. And I don't even know, I don't know if there's any significant percentage of doctors in hospitals that will admit. But what you're saying, what you're saying lends credence to the argument that there's a lot of doctors and nurses, like a huge percentage, that know the dangers of vaccines. If that low of a percentage are willing to take this vaccine.
Yeah, and I don't know if that survey done. I don't know if that was done anonymously or not.
Mm-hmm.
But still.
And I don't hear many people who are skeptical of vaccines trying to pretend they're scientists and argue the merits of whether or not dead virus could activate the immune system to be resistant or not. Like the conversation people are trying to have that's been suppressed by Google and YouTube and almost everyone everywhere, including most Democrats, suppressing the conversation, is the other ingredients in the vaccines. Like that's hurting people, the heavy metals, the neurotoxins, and there's really, really, really gross things. Like anyone who wants to like argue
Formaldehyde,
yeah,
acid, all these class carcinogens that are known to be poisonous.
Aborted baby tissues. I mean, yeah, it's animal, chicken, egg stuff.
And they're not vegan, by the way, for
right.
anybody who's vegan.
Right. Not vegan. So anyone about the merits of vaccines needs to understand that it's not, people aren't trying to have a huge argument about, science and like, can the dead virus part provoke an immune response? There's a lot of other really toxic ingredients in vaccines, and until those are all gone and banned, I would love to see people just educate themselves and not be so dismissive and so offensive towards people that are skeptical or against, submitting themselves or their loved ones to vaccines. It's not that they're anti-science. Like the truth is, like the science is that there are a lot of really toxic ingredients in vaccines, and being skeptical of injecting toxins into your body is an intelligent perspective. I mean, some people are probably just skeptical of the COVID vaccine because they feel like it's being rushed. There's a lot of people probably sign up for the flu shot every year, and I think it's like playing Russian roulette. But I would love to see that study. I'd love to know if the doctors and nurses that are not planning to get a COVID vaccine, if how many of those people are okay with other vaccines in general. Have you heard RFK Jr. Speak about all this stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he's very skeptical of vaccines.
Well, he's very.
I don't know if he's against them completely or just certain ones.
Well, he's very informed. He's not against the concept of a vaccine. He's against all the toxins in the ingredient list in the vaccines. I saw a debate with him and some other high-profile guy, and they basically agreed on everything. And RFK in that YouTube debate, whatever, it wasn't really a debate. It was more like RFK making the arguments and the other guy saying, yeah, I basically agree with that. Because he wasn't trying to say there's no way that the concept of provoking an immune response with a dead virus, he wasn't debating whether that could ever work. He was just supplying evidence that what they're using, the ingredients, the other stuff in vaccines, are doing a lot of damage.
Right, but I think if you took all that stuff away, there'd be nothing left. It probably wouldn't do anything for you. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've heard arguments against the concept of whether the vaccine theory works at all. I can't make those arguments. I'm not a scientist, not a doctor. I'm not well educated enough on that stuff to debate the merits of vaccinating. But I am against the many toxins that they put in the soup, and that's why I would never touch a vaccine myself, or let my or let a loved one be injected with that stuff.
Yeah, I've never seen anything that looks like it might be evidence that they do what they're supposed to do, which is to protect us.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I can't really intelligently debate that. I mean, there's people that would say, well, look at these diseases that went away. But then I've heard people on the other side say that was just society getting over things. Like other diseases have gone away that there wasn't a vaccine for,
right.
Like SARS.
They all have their time. Which makes you think about the timing here. Like I'm really curious to see how they're going to time this rolling out of the vaccine. Is it going to be as the coronavirus takes a dive and it's on its way out, by maybe next spring, and all of a sudden we'll have this wonderful vaccine, and then we can have the vaccine take the credit.
Right.
For
and also, Also, people that have come down with COVID, some people have come a second time. So then the question arises: if the vaccine works, how long does it work for? How many times a year are they going to demand that you get injected with this toxic soup?
Yeah.
It's
and the different strains that you might be getting.
yeah. I mean, if it mutates, was there any point? Yeah, it's crazy. Very, very interesting stuff.
Yeah. So.
Well,
where's Sarah tonight?
She's on the couch over there. She can't hear me because she has the earphones on. I think she. I should ask her before I sign off if she wanted to add anything. Sarah, did you want to? Do you have anything to say tonight? Anything you want to talk about?
I don't know what you just.
Oh, Sarah's been on the couch with the earphones on, not paying attention. So she's not going to have any input tonight. But Julie, I love that you called in. You're officially my first caller for this broadcast. That this is episode 4, and you're the first person to call in. And I know because
Really? I thought somebody called. Didn't somebody call the first time?
Who called?
Somebody called.
Oh, Lisa called. You're right. Lisa called. Okay, you're my second caller. I don't know if Lisa's on tonight, but you're right. You're the second call.
Stayed on as long as I stayed on, and maybe I wasn't supposed to stay on so long. I don't know.
No, I love it. I'm totally happy that you did. We haven't had any activity really in the chat box tonight, so we have a few viewers in the room, including you. So thanks everyone for being with us. And Julie, it's been stimulating and wonderful to have you.
Awesome. Yes, I've enjoyed it. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Yep. Juliet, when you and I get in discussions of important things, I could pretty much go like 24 hours. Like I never get tired of talking with you about stuff, whether it's animal rights or politics or whatever. I get a lot out of it. So thank you. Thanks for calling in.
So sweet. Yeah. Well, you really stay on top of all this stuff. I don't too much, but it's really interesting and it's important. We do need to be informed.
And I think you do. I think you sell yourself short there. And I think the sound worked out okay because I could hear your computer speakers. So I'm hoping that everyone watching this is able to hear you okay through the.
Okay.
And I will go back and I'll check that. I'll go back and watch it.
I have my speaker on. So and now should I test it and see how it sounds with the speaker on?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Now it just took off.
Yeah, turn your
speaker. I took off the speaker, but I don't like to have the phone up to my ear like this usually.
No, speakerphone's fine, but do me a favor and turn your computer speaker back on and see if you can hear yourself talking. It'll be a slight delay.
Okay. Hear yourself talking. It'll be a slight delay. Okay, now I'm talking. Is there a delay? Okay, now I'm talking.
Yay!
Okay. Yeah.
That worked out really well.
Okay. So the next time I call in and I just turn down the speaker right away, right?
Yeah. But the sound is good. My
just like on the radio. If somebody calls in the radio, the host always says, "Turn off your radio."
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Similar concept. Yeah. And so my trusty webcam that I've hardly ever used before this year is doing just fine picking up my cell phone speakerphone. So that's fantastic.
Oh, that's cool. So let me ask you, this isn't being recorded, is it? Like for all posterity?
Well, it ends up on the YouTube channel, saves them.
It's what?
All the live videos on YouTube get saved to YouTube. So this is like, you could watch this later. Anyone can watch this. And people have been watching them later that didn't tune in now. People can watch these later. Yeah.
Oh, they can?
Yeah.
Oh, I need to be careful then. I need to censor myself. I mean, I was well behaved, I think, tonight, but it's good to know.
Yeah. Well, your name is wouldn't be like searchable, like YouTube. Doing a search for your name on YouTube wouldn't bring you up because your name's not on it. But people can watch this later and hear the whole thing or watch the whole thing.
And hear the whole thing. Okay. All right. I don't know what happened to my friend Justin. I texted him and did he end up? I don't think he ended up on the call last week. when I dropped off when we were having technical problems and I couldn't get back on.
YouTube doesn't show me names of who's in the room. I think Facebook may, but YouTube doesn't. I just see that there's 3 people in the room right now. That includes you. So there's 2 other people who haven't used the chat box. Maybe they don't have access to it. Some people have found that they can't use the chat box. I think last week's star was only able to use the chat box when she went to my channel and then logged on to it instead of using the link that I provided. I don't know. The glitches are shortcomings of YouTube very well, but again, and for those of you out there, if you could like the channel, not just the live streaming video right now, but the channel that this is coming from, then it'd be great to get the likes up. It's a new channel that I created basically to do this.
Okay.
Cool. Well,
well, thank you, Alec. Thanks again, and I just want to, and I guess we'll hope to see you next week.
It's not, I'm glad you said that. I'm not going to do one next week. I have to take this older gentleman that lives down the street to my dentist to get a major procedure done next Monday afternoon. I don't know how long it's going to take. He got, I think, like a later appointment, like a 4 o'clock appointment. And I don't know how long it's going to take and how much assistance he'll need after.
Okay.
So I'm going to go.
Okay.
I'm going to skip next Monday and probably come back the following Monday.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, and I'll put the word out. Oh, Sarah just logged on. She says hi, Julie, and bye, Julie.
Oh, hi.
Cool. Well, thanks a million, Julie. Talk to you soon. And yay for us, right? Power to the people. We're getting rid of the evil Cheeto.
Wait, say that again?
I said, yay for the people and power to the people. We are getting rid of the evil Cheeto. The Cheeto in chief is going away. I mean, someone at some point must have told him that the slathered orange goop that he puts on doesn't look normal, but maybe no one tells him.
They don't want to be as mean as he is,
I was gonna say at least his family members don't have to worry about getting fired, but that's probably not true because they probably do have to worry about getting cut off from the inheritance or whatever. So the family money. So maybe no one tells him. Maybe there's a family understanding that like no one ever criticizes him because then he might cut them off from whatever control he has of the family money. Oh my God. Hopefully I'm pretty certain that come January 20th, we'll have a president that doesn't think every day is bring your child to work day. I cannot wait to be rid of the whole Trump clan.
Well, yeah, I mean, just knowing that we're not going to be seeing these incessant tweets from him daily, that we have to worry about. Like, I mean, half of them are nothing, but some of them are so provocative and.
Well, he can tweet all he wants, but it won't have any gravity. It won't carry any weight. And they won't come from the presidential Twitter account, and the ones that come from him won't affect anyone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We'll fade into oblivion, hopefully.
Yes. Well, hopefully he fades into jail, and a bunch of his people with. Well, so some of his people are already in jail, have been in jail, but there's a lot more that it would be, I think, only just to see locked up along with him.
Yeah.
And I hope they can take Pence down as well because he's enabled everything along the way.
Oh yeah. For sure. And Bill Barr too.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I don't know the ins and outs of every possible case. I think Trump's going to be prosecuted by the states. I don't know how many people in his cabinet or whatever can actually be taken down legally. They've embarrassed themselves before the world, before all of history. But I certainly hope that some of his minions have already gone to jail, and I hope more of them have to face the music.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, he would have to. It's not fair that everybody around him goes to jail and he doesn't.
Yeah, and this has to do with it could have to do with whether or not the Biden administration pursues justice. The Obama administration did not.
Yeah,
But
they never do. It seems like they never do. It's like, oh, that's in the past.
mhm.
Well,
Well,
everything's always in the past.
well, for a horrible example by pardoning Nixon, and it's only gotten worse from there. But it goes back, again, the states can do whatever they want, and there are motivated people in the states that hopefully will pursue cases no matter what, higher up, whatever Democratic leadership, partisan leadership might say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Okay, so I guess we've solved some of the problems of the world.
sure, and we certainly have every right to celebrate with the rest of the world. Still celebrating that we are exterminating the White House. we are cleansing the White House of Republicans very soon.
Yeah. Yeah, right on.
Well, hope to hear from you in a couple weeks, and thanks again, Julie, so much for calling in.
Okay.
That's Julie Meskel, my wonderful guest of the evening.
Okay. Thanks for the show.
All right, see you.
Bye.
Bye. Julie Curran Meskel. That was Julie. Wonderful, wonderful friend and very enlightened citizen. So, big hugs to all of you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. If you're watching this later, then thanks for tuning in. Please like the channel, the YouTube channel, not just this video. You can like the video if you want the live stream, but please like the channel so that that can build. Power to the people. Get the fist on camera. Here we go. We did it. We're getting rid of Trump. So yeah, us. Time to focus on Georgia. Time to get the work done and get the turnout and flip Georgia blue in the Senate. All right, everyone. Take care. Signing off. Good night.